Every one of us has faced moments when quitting feels like the only choice. You've tried, pushed, and still felt stuck, and that frustration whispers that it's easier to stop. The truth is, the strongest battles aren't outside, they're in your mind. How you handle those moments decides whether you move forward or stay where you are. This video is about teaching you how to train your mind to never give up. You will learn how to stay focused when everything seems against you, take small steps that rebuild your confidence, and build daily habits that make persistence natural. You'll see how to face doubt, tiredness, and fear without letting them control your actions. These are practical strategies anyone can use starting today. By applying them, you will shift your mindset from hesitation to action, from frustration to determination, and from stopping to unstoppable growth. Every choice you make with your mind moves you closer to your goals. Your journey to a mind that refuses to quit begins here. Chapter 1. Learn to stay calm when your thoughts tell you to quit. There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise in their own head gets louder than anything outside. The thoughts that say, you can't keep going, or this isn't working, or you've tried enough. Those moments test what you're really made of. Anyone can stay calm when life feels smooth. But when your thoughts start to fight against you, that's when your real training begins. The truth is, your mind will always speak first, but it's your choice whether to listen or to lead it. Staying calm when your thoughts tell you to quit is not about pretending everything is fine, it's about refusing to let your emotions make your decision. When things start to go wrong, your mind reacts with fear. It tells you to run, to stop, to take the easy road. But that voice isn't the truth, it's just protection. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not successful. It wants comfort, not challenge. So, when you start to push yourself, it tries to pull you back. You have to train it to understand that not all discomfort is danger. Some of it is growth. Every person who ever achieved anything great has had those same thoughts, the same doubts, the same fears. They just learned to manage them instead of obey them. They built a habit of calmness. Not the calm that means I don't care, but the calm that says I will think before I decide. Calmness is not weakness, it's control. It means you're in charge of your reaction, not your reaction in charge of you. When you start to feel that wave of frustration, the kind that makes your chest tighten and your head spin, pause for a second. Notice what's really happening. You're not failing, you're just overwhelmed. You're not incapable, you're just tired. Those are temporary states, not final truth. When you give yourself a moment to breathe, you take back power from your emotions. You stop reacting, and you start responding. In life you will face days when nothing seems to move forward. The work feels endless, the results invisible. Your mind will whisper, why bother? That's when you have to remind yourself, this is the moment that matters most. Quitting doesn't remove the pain, it just transfers it. You will trade the pain of effort for the pain of regret. But if you stay calm, if you hold steady, if you remind yourself that emotions come and go, you'll discover something remarkable. Your patience becomes strength. You can't build a calm mind in chaos unless you practice it daily. The small moments prepare you for the big one. When someone says something that irritates you, when plans don't go your way, when things take longer than you expect, that's your training ground. If you can stay calm in the small frustrations, you'll be ready for the larger storm. The person who can stay calm under pressure is the one who wins the long game. You have to understand one thing deeply. Calmness is not a gift, it's a discipline. It's built through awareness. You start noticing how your thoughts behave when something goes wrong. Watch how quickly your mind jumps to worst-case scenarios. It says, this always happens, or you'll never make it. That's not logic. That's fear speaking. But fear can only control you if you accept its story. Once you start separating yourself from your thoughts, you stop letting them run your life. Think of how many times you've been close to giving up, only to look back later and realize you were just a few steps away from progress. That's the trick your mind plays. It exaggerates pain and minimizes possibility. It focuses on what's missing, not what's improving. That's why staying calm is your greatest defense. It gives you enough space to see the full picture. When you are calm, you see clearly. When you are anxious, you see only the problem. Train yourself to pause when your thoughts turn negative. Don't rush to fix everything immediately. Calmness isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing, at the right time, with a clear mind. You can't make smart decisions when you're emotionally charged. Calmness gives you the ability to think straight. It lets you see solutions that panic hides. You will meet people who seem calm by nature, but the truth is, they worked for it. They failed. They got frustrated. They wanted to quit too. But they learned not to let temporary emotions define permanent choices. The same way you train your body, you can train your reaction. Every time you stop yourself from snapping back, every time you choose to breathe before responding, every time you tell your mind we're not quitting today, you strengthen your inner control. That control becomes confidence. When you train your mind to stay calm, you also protect your energy. You stop wasting it on overthinking and frustration. You start using it to build progress. Calmness turns your focus from the noise in your head to the action in your hand. It keeps you grounded when everything around you feels unstable. It gives you the endurance to stay in the game when others walk away. There's another truth most people overlook. Calmness is contagious. When you learn to stay composed, others begin to follow your lead. People trust calm energy. They feel safe around it. You become a source of stability in a world full of reaction. That's influence. And it starts by learning to manage yourself first. Now it's not easy to do this every day. You'll have mornings when you wake up with doubt already waiting for you. You'll face setbacks that feel unfair, situations that test your patience, moments where you question everything. That's normal. You don't train your mind by never feeling weak. You train it by not staying weak. You acknowledge the emotion, but you don't surrender to it. You stand firm, breathe, and remind yourself, I've been here before, and I made it through. Calmness also helps you separate your goals from your feelings. Feelings change by the hour. One bad day can make you think your entire path is wrong, but a calm mind sees the difference between a bad moment and a bad direction. When you learn to pause before reacting, you protect your progress from impulsive decisions. If you want to build a mind that never gives up, you must teach it to rest without quitting. You can take breaks, you can slow down, you can reset, but never confuse resting with giving up. Calmness helps you understand that breaks are not defeat, they're strategy. They help you regain clarity so you can move forward stronger. The world rewards the calm thinker, not the fastest, not the loudest, but the one who can stay steady when others panic. The calm mind sees opportunity while others see obstacles. It acts from reason, not reaction. It stays in control when everything else feels out of control. That's real power. Not shouting louder, but standing taller inside yourself. When your thoughts tell you to quit, stay still for a moment. Feel your breath. Feel your heart beating. That's proof that you're still in the fight. Your thoughts are not the final word. Your choices. You can choose calm. You can choose patience. You can choose to keep going even when your emotions scream stop. And that choice, repeated again and again, builds a mind that refuses to break. You have everything you need to stay calm under pressure. You just have to practice it daily. In the quiet moments, in the frustrating ones, in the times when no one's watching. Each time you do, Your mind learns that it can survive discomfort, and over time that becomes your nature. You'll notice yourself handling stress better, solving problems faster, and staying balanced longer. So, when your mind starts to tell you to quit, understand what's really happening. It's fear trying to protect you. Thank it, then move forward anyway, because your future doesn't belong to the voice that doubts you. It belongs to the part of you that stays calm, thinks clearly, and keeps moving. Train that part daily. It will take you further than any motivation ever could. That's how you build strength that lasts. That's how you train your mind to never give up, by learning to stay calm when every part of you wants to walk away, and proving to yourself again and again that you are far stronger than your thoughts.
Chapter 2. Understand that pain is temporary, but giving up lasts forever. Pain has a way of making everything feel permanent. When you're in it, the hours feel longer, the days heavier, and your mind starts whispering that it'll always be this way. But it won't. Pain is not forever. It changes, it fades, it transforms. What lasts forever is the decision to give up when things get hard. Because when you give up, you freeze your progress at that very moment. You stop your growth and let pain win a battle it was never meant to win. There's a truth most people overlook. The human body and mind are built to recover. We can adapt, we can heal, and we can rebuild from almost anything. But you have to give yourself the chance to reach the other side. Most people quit before that point. They stop when it hurts the most, not realizing that pain often shows up right before things begin to change. That's the trap of temporary pain. It convinces you that it's permanent, that it'll never end. But if you just keep moving, even slowly, you'll see that pain always loses its strength over time. When you understand that pain is temporary, you stop fearing it. You begin to see it as part of the process, not as punishment. Every challenge you face, every setback that feels unbearable, is testing your belief in yourself. Pain has a way of stripping you down to your essentials. It shows you what really matters, what you're willing to fight for. It removes the noise, and that's a gift if you're strong enough to recognize it. Giving up, though, that's a different kind of pain, the quiet one that never leaves. You carry it in your mind, in your heart, in the way you think about yourself. It becomes regret, and regret doesn't fade. It grows. It whispers at night. It reminds you of what could have been, and it follows you into every new opportunity. When you quit once, it becomes easier to quit again. Your brain starts to believe that giving up is relief. But it's not relief. It's a habit of escape, and that habit can take away everything you could have been. Pain has levels. There's the physical kind that drains your energy. There's the emotional kind that shakes your confidence. And there's the mental kind that makes you question your worth. Each type can feel unbearable in its own way. But if you push through it, something powerful happens. You grow stronger, not just in body, but in resilience. You begin to see that pain is not an enemy. It's a teacher. It's showing you what you still need to work on, what part of yourself still needs strengthening. You'll notice something about strong people. They don't have less pain. They just understood differently. They know it's temporary. They've seen it come and go enough times to know it doesn't last. They don't panic when life gets hard, because they've learned that pain is part of the deal for anything meaningful. You can't build endurance in comfort. You can't build confidence without testing your limits. Pain is the proof that you're in the game, that you're still moving, still alive. When life throws challenges at you, it's easy to think you've reached your limit. But your limit is never where you think it is. You always have more inside you. The human mind underestimates its capacity for pain and overestimates the permanence of discomfort. What feels unbearable today might be the foundation of your strength tomorrow. You'll look back one day and realize that what once broke you became the reason you became unstoppable. Every athlete, every entrepreneur, Every creator, every parent, every fighter, they've all met pain at some point. Some stopped there, and some kept going. The ones who kept going didn't do it because they enjoyed pain. They did it because they understood it had an expiration date. They trusted that if they could stay consistent long enough, it would pass, and something better would take its place. You have to build that same trust. There's a simple question to ask yourself whenever things get tough. If I give up now, how will I feel tomorrow? Not next year, not in 10 years, tomorrow. The answer is always the same: worse. Because once the emotion fades and your mind clears, you'll realize that pain was temporary but your choice became permanent. The people who rise above aren't superhuman, they're just the ones who learn to sit with pain without surrendering to it. It's okay to cry, it's okay to feel tired, it's okay to doubt yourself. None of those things mean you're weak. It only becomes weakness when you let those feelings decide your future. You can acknowledge pain without letting it define you. You can be in pain and still choose progress. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is not strength. It's the patience to wait out the storm instead of running from it. You have to stop treating pain like a permanent guest. It's only visiting to teach you something. The lesson might be patience, discipline, humility, or courage. But it's always something valuable. If you quit before learning it, you'll face the same pain again later in another form. Life repeats lessons until you master them. That's why avoiding pain never works. It just delays growth. Remember the last time you went through something hard and came out stronger. At that moment, you might have thought you wouldn't make it, but you did. You healed. You moved forward. That's proof that pain is not endless. Every scar you have is proof that pain ends. The scar stays, but the wound closes. Giving up, though, leaves an open wound that never fully heals. That's the kind of pain that stays, because it comes from within, from knowing you stopped short of what you could have achieved. When you accept that pain is temporary, you begin to focus differently. You stop asking, how do I make this easier? And start asking, how do I become stronger? That shift changes everything. Because life doesn't get easier, you get better at handling it. The same challenge that once made you break down will one day feel like a warm-up. That's growth. That's training your mind to understand that no emotion, no hardship, no obstacle is final. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you build a new layer of mental toughness. You're teaching your mind that it can handle more than it thought. Over time, that becomes your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who doesn't quit, no matter how hard it gets, and that belief alone changes your entire approach to life. You become calmer, stronger, and more focused. You stop fearing pain and start respecting it. There's a deep peace that comes from knowing pain doesn't last. You stop rushing for instant relief. You stop reacting out of fear. You start moving with purpose, even when it hurts. You begin to value the process, not just the outcome. Because you know that what feels heavy today is shaping you into the person who can carry tomorrow's responsibilities with ease. Giving up is always the easier option in the moment, but it never feels right later. That's because deep down you know quitting doesn't solve anything. It just resets the pain at a new level. You'll face the same kind of struggle again, until you learn how to push through it. The pain you avoid today becomes the regret you carry tomorrow. But the pain you face today becomes the strength you'll use forever. When you find yourself on the edge, when your body says stop and your mind says you can't go any further, take one more step. That's the step that builds your future. That's the step that turns your temporary pain into permanent strength. The people who never give up aren't born that way. They train that way. They've learned to see beyond the moment. They know that feelings come and go, but purpose stays. It's not about being fearless. It's about moving forward even with fear. It's not about pretending you're not hurting.
It's about trusting that the hurt has a purpose. Every painful experience you've ever survived has prepared you for something. You didn't go through all of that just to quit now. You've already proven you can endure. This is just another test, another moment where your strength will grow if you don't stop. You have to remind yourself daily, pain is a message, not a destination. It's telling you that you're stretching, learning, growing. It's showing you that you're in motion. Don't turn back just because it hurts. One day, you'll look back and realize that the moments that made you cry were the same moments that built your courage. Life is full of temporary pain, rejection, failure, loss, struggle. But each one fades. What doesn't fade is the pride of knowing you never quit. That pride stays forever. That's the kind of peace you can't buy or fake. It's earned through persistence, through showing up again and again, even when your body and mind beg you to stop. So when pain visits, don't run from it. Stand still, breathe through it. Remind yourself that it's just a phase, not your fate. Because pain can only control you when you believe it's permanent. Once you understand it's temporary, you take back your power. You stop living in reaction and start living in resilience. You are stronger than the pain you feel right now. You've overcome before, and you will again. The difference this time is that now you know pain doesn't last, but giving up does. So choose the temporary over the permanent. Endure the moment, because every minute you hold on is a step closer to the person you're meant to become. And that person is waiting for you on the other side of pain. Stronger, wiser, unshakable.
Chapter 3. Replace doubt with small actions that rebuild your strength. Doubt is one of the quietest yet most powerful forces that can stop a person from moving forward. It doesn't scream or shout, it whispers. It shows up in your mind as small, convincing thoughts that question your ability, your timing, your worth, and your chances. And once it takes root, it can drain your energy faster than failure ever could. But here's the truth. Doubt cannot survive when you take action. Every small step you take weakens it. Every small effort you make reminds your mind that you're not stuck. You're moving, even if slowly. Most people wait to act until they feel confident, but confidence doesn't come first. Action does. Confidence grows from proof. Proof that you can do something. Proof that you're capable. Proof that you can survive discomfort. You don't build strength by thinking about what you can do. You build it by doing, even when you're unsure. The smallest actions can change your entire mindset because they show your brain that movement is possible. And once you start moving, doubt loses control. Doubt feeds on hesitation. The more you think about doing something, the heavier it feels. Your mind begins to pile up reasons why it's too hard, too late, or too risky. But when you act, when you take one small, clear step, the weight starts to lift. You remind yourself that the problem isn't as big as your fear made it seem. That's why small actions matter so much. They might not change your situation overnight, but they change the way you see yourself immediately. When your strength feels low, don't look for big wins. Look for small wins. The kind that are easy to overlook, but powerful enough to shift your energy. It could be finishing a simple task, getting out of bed early, organizing something, having that one conversation you've been avoiding, or just showing up even when you don't feel ready. These actions might seem small, but they're rebuilding something deep inside you, your trust in yourself. And that trust is the foundation of all strength. You see, doubt grows strongest when you stop trusting yourself. It convinces you that you can't rely on your own word or your own plan. The only way to rebuild that trust is through consistency, through proving to yourself that you will do what you say, no matter how small. Every time you follow through on a small action, your mind takes note. It begins to believe you again. And once your mind starts believing in you, doubt no longer has the same control. Strength doesn't return all at once. It returns piece by piece. It's built in the quiet moments, when you choose to act instead of overthink. Every time you take one step forward, you're training your brain to associate movement with progress instead of fear. You're teaching yourself that even when things aren't perfect, you can still move forward. That's what separates strong minds from weak ones, not the absence of doubt, but the ability to act in spite of it. You can't wait for motivation to appear. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. When you start doing small things, your mind starts to wake up. You begin to feel capable again. You begin to remember your purpose. Even when you're tired, even when you don't feel ready, doing something small builds momentum. And momentum is what transforms doubt into determination. There's something powerful about completing even the smallest task when your confidence is low. It reminds you that control is not lost. It's still in your hands. You might not be able to control everything in your life right now, but you can always control the next. That one small step might not look like much to others, but it's everything to your mind. It's the spark that keeps you from slipping deeper into doubt. Think about how children learn to walk. They fall over and over again, but they keep getting up. They don't question their ability or their worth. They just keep trying because their focus is on the next step, not on the failure. As adults, we forget that. We overthink. We attach meaning to every mistake. We assume failure means we're not capable. But it does. It just means you're still learning how to move through doubt. The same principle applies, one step at a time, no matter how shaky. You don't rebuild your strength by thinking stronger thoughts. You rebuild it by acting like a strong person even before you feel like one. If you act weak, you'll think weak. If you act strong, your mind will follow. That's how you retrain your brain, through your actions, not your emotions. The body moves first. The mind catches up later. When you act despite doubt, you show yourself that you don't have to feel ready to begin. You just have to begin. When doubt appears, your natural instinct might be to overthink it, to analyze every reason why things won't work. But overthinking doesn't solve anything. It only multiplies fear. You can't think your way out of doubt. You have to act your way out. The smallest action disrupts the pattern. Even doing one simple thing with focus can break a long cycle of hesitation. The longer you stay in motion, the quieter doubt becomes. Your brain learns from repetition. Whatever you repeat becomes your reality. If you keep repeating doubt, it becomes a habit. But if you repeat action, even small ones, that becomes your habit instead. You have to consciously feed your mind with proof that you're capable. Every time you show up, you're feeding strength instead of fear. You're shifting your focus from what could go wrong to what you can do right now. Sometimes, small actions seem too insignificant to matter, and that's where most people give up. They believe if they can't make massive progress right away, it's not worth it. But that's the mistake. Great change doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from 1,000 small ones. Each small effort compounds. Each small step you take today builds the strength you'll rely on tomorrow. The small moments are where growth hides. You don't need to fix everything in one day. You just need to start doing the next right thing. If you're lost, do something simple. Clean your space, take a walk, write your thoughts down, talk to someone who lifts you up, or finish a small task you've been avoiding. These actions might look ordinary, but they shift your mind from helplessness to control. That's how strength starts returning, through effort, not emotion. When you doubt yourself, your world feels small. It feels like there's no way out. But every small action you take expands that world again. You start to see possibilities you couldn't see before. You start to breathe differently. Your energy changes. You start to believe that maybe, just maybe, things can get better. That's not luck. That's the effect of small, consistent actions on your psychology. There's something deeply human about rebuilding strength. It's not glamorous, and it's not quick. It's often done in silence, away from the world's attention. It's about showing up even when no one claps, even when progress feels invisible. But each day you act, you're slowly rewriting the story your mind tells about you. You're proving that you're capable of rebuilding from anything. The truth is, you won't always feel ready. Some days you'll move slowly. Some days you'll fall back into doubt. That's okay. Strength isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. The goal is not to eliminate doubt, but to stop letting it control your behavior. Every time you act in the face of doubt, you weaken its hold a little more. You have to remind yourself, action is medicine for uncertainty. Every time you do something, even something small, your brain releases a signal of accomplishment. That signal tells your nervous system that you're not stuck, that you're safe, that progress is happening. It builds mental stability. That's how small actions can literally change the way you feel and think. They calm your inner chaos. The most powerful people you admire didn't start with unshakable confidence. They started with tiny steps, one task, one habit, one choice at a time. The reason they appear strong now is because they kept showing up even when they doubted themselves. That's the secret no one talks about. You don't remove doubt before you act. You remove doubt by acting. When you feel like giving up, do one more small thing. It doesn't matter how small. It could be organizing your thoughts, making a list, or moving your body. You'll notice that doing something breaks the mental paralysis. It gives your brain a new signal, movement instead of fear. That's how you slowly rebuild the strength to move again. Your actions are more powerful than your thoughts when it comes to building confidence. The more you act, the more you prove to your mind that it can trust you. That's the foundation of true mental strength, self-trust, built through repeated action. No one can give it to you. You have to earn it. And you earn it through the choices you make when doubt feels strongest. There's no shortcut to confidence, no instant fix for doubt. It's a process of daily effort. You show up, you do something, you learn, and you build. Over time, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Not because the fear disappeared, but because you didn't stop when it showed up. That's what it means to train your mind to never give up, to move even when your thoughts tell you it's over. So when you wake up tomorrow, and your mind starts whispering that you're not ready, don't argue with it. Don't try to silence it. Just take one small action, because in that moment, you're not only silencing doubt, you're rebuilding strength, discipline and faith in yourself. And those three things together make you unstoppable. Strength doesn't come from doing big things. It comes from doing small things consistently. Doubt will visit, but it doesn't have to stay. Every step forward, every small action, every decision to move when you could have paused. That's how you train your mind to believe again. That's how you turn uncertainty into strength and fear into focus. You don't wait to feel ready. You create readiness by acting anyway. And when you live that way, doubt no longer controls your life. You do.
Chapter 4. Stop letting negative thoughts decide how your day will go. Every day when you wake up, your mind begins to shape the tone of your entire day. Before your feet even touch the ground, your thoughts start creating a story about who you are, what today means, and what's possible for you. That inner voice can either lift you or limit you, and the truth is, most people let their negative thoughts decide how their day will go before the day even begins. They let one small worry, one bad memory, or one passing fear control the next 24 hours of their life. But if you want to train your mind to never give up, you have to stop giving that power away. You have to stop letting negative thoughts run the show. Negative thoughts will always try to take the first step in your day. They show up disguised as realism. What if today's the same as yesterday? I'm already behind. Nothing ever changes. I don't feel like myself.
These thoughts sound harmless because they feel familiar, but if you don't interrupt them early, they grow stronger with every hour. They drain your energy before you even begin. That's why you have to learn how to take control of your mental direction. The moment you wake up, you decide the tone, not your fears, not your past, not your doubts. Your mind is like an open gate in the morning. Whatever you let in first sets the emotional rhythm for the rest of the day. If the first thought you feed it is negative, it will look for more negativity. If you start with gratitude or focus, it will search for things that match that energy. Your brain is wired to prove itself right, so if you wake up thinking today's going to be hard, your mind will find every small reason to prove it true. But if you train it to look for strength, opportunity, or progress, it will search for those instead. You can't control everything that happens, but you can always control how your mind responds. The problem is, most people don't realize that thoughts are choices. They treat them as facts. A negative thought appears, and instead of questioning it, they believe it. I'm not good enough. I don't have time. I'll probably fail again. Once that thought is accepted, the mind starts to build around it. The day starts slipping into negativity, not because life is bad, but because perception has been programmed to see it that way. But the moment you stop accepting every thought as truth, you begin to take your power back. It's important to understand that you can't stop negative thoughts from showing up. No one can. The human mind produces thousands of thoughts every day, and many of them are automatic. But what you can stop is their control over your actions, your focus, and your energy. You can decide not to feed them. You can say, no, that thought doesn't belong to me today. That's not denial, that's discipline. You're not pretending life is perfect. You're choosing not to make it worse through unnecessary negativity. When a negative thought appears, your first instinct might be to argue with it or fight it, but that often gives it more attention. Instead, you can acknowledge it and then move your attention towards something that empowers you. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me move forward, or is it holding me back? If it's not useful, let it pass. Replace it with something small but constructive. I can handle this. I'll take it one step at a time. I've been through harder things before. These simple, grounded thoughts rebuild mental control. Your emotional state follows your focus. Whatever you focus on expands. If you spend your day focusing on mistakes, problems, or fears, you're teaching your mind to live in a state of stress. That stress shapes your body, your mood, and your actions. But if you start focusing on solutions, small wins, or things within your control, your energy begins to shift. You start to feel more grounded, more capable, more confident. You start to realize that your day doesn't need to be perfect to be productive. There's a simple truth that most people overlook. You can't live a positive life with a negative mindset. You can't expect motivation or peace if the first thing you do in the morning is feed your mind with doubt, complaints, or comparison. The way you start your day matters. It's the mental foundation that everything else stands on. So train yourself to start your mornings with intention. Before checking your phone or thinking about what's wrong, take a moment to decide how you want your mind to work today. Do you want it focused, calm, determined, grateful? Choose that, and then feed it thoughts that match. It's also worth remembering that negative thoughts aren't always loud. Sometimes they're quiet, just small feelings of resistance, boredom, or frustration. They slip in unnoticed, but slowly pull your energy down. That's why awareness is everything. When you catch yourself feeling low, pause for a second and ask, what have I been telling myself for the last few minutes? You'll often find that it's not the situation that's heavy, it's the thought you've been carrying about it. When you change that thought, you change how the moment feels. If you keep letting negative thoughts run your day, you'll begin to see life through a narrow lens. You'll only notice what's wrong and ignore everything that's right. You'll make choices from fear instead of strength. But when you start deciding which thoughts deserve your attention, life opens up again. You begin to see options. You begin to feel capable again. That's how control returns, not through changing everything around you, but by changing what you allow inside of you. Think of how much time you lose when you let one bad thought dominate your morning. You could be productive, but instead you're stuck replaying what went wrong. You could be present, but instead you're lost in worry. The truth is, a single negative thought can cost you hours of peace if you don't catch it early. That's why you must train your awareness. Notice when your mind starts spinning negative stories and stop giving them attention. You can acknowledge them without living in them. Every time you catch a negative thought and refuse to follow it, you're strengthening your mental muscle. You're teaching your brain that it doesn't control you. You control it. That's what training your mind really means. It's not about forcing positivity or pretending problems don't exist. It's about building emotional discipline. It's about deciding that your focus belongs to you, not to fear, anger, or doubt. Some people say, "I can't help it, that's just how I think," but that's not true. That's how they've trained their mind to think, through repetition. You've probably been practicing negative thinking for years without realizing it. The good news is, you can retrain it the same way, through new repetition. Every time you challenge a negative thought and replace it with something stronger, you're reprogramming your mind, and over time, the new way of thinking becomes your default. You can start small. Every time you notice a negative pattern, like thinking "I'm not good enough," interrupt it, replace it with something based on truth and progress, not fear. For example, say to yourself, "I'm improving every day," or "I'm still learning, and that's okay." This isn't blind optimism, it's mental correction. You're correcting years of programming that tried to convince you that you're powerless. The key is consistency. You can't change your mindset in one day. It takes daily practice, like training any skill. The more you practice choosing your thoughts, the stronger your control becomes. Eventually, negative thoughts will still appear, but they'll no longer have the same weight. You'll notice them, but they won't direct your emotions or your actions. That's when you know you're winning the battle for your mind. Don't underestimate how powerful your thoughts are. They create your perception, which becomes your reality. If you think your day will be bad, your brain will look for reasons to confirm it. If you decide your day will be productive, your brain will start looking for opportunities. You're programming your reality every time you choose what to think. That's why training your mind isn't optional. It's essential if you want to live with strength and peace. When you stop letting negative thoughts decide your day, you stop living in reaction. You begin living by intention. You no longer wake up waiting for life to go your way. You wake up ready to make it go your way. You stop handing your emotional control to random thoughts or outside events. You start deciding who you'll be and how you'll respond, no matter what happens. That's real freedom, the freedom to think clearly even when life isn't perfect. Every day is another chance to practice mental strength. You don't have to control every thought that appears, but you do have to control which ones you obey. You can't always control the weather, the people, or the circumstances, but you can always control your response. And that response begins in your mind. When you wake up tomorrow, don't let the first negative thought win. Start your day with intention. Choose one clear thought that defines how you want to feel and what kind of energy you want to bring. Repeat it to yourself until it feels real. Protect your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. The truth is simple. Negative thoughts will always come, but they only have power if you let them stay. You can't stop them from knocking, but you can stop opening the door. The more you practice that, the calmer, stronger, and more focused you'll become. Over time you'll realize that your thoughts don't decide your day, you do. And that's when you start living like someone who's trained their mind to never give up. Not because life is easy, but because you've learned how to stay strong, steady, and in control no matter what your thoughts try to tell you.
Chapter 5. Remind yourself why you started when everything feels pointless. There will be moments when life feels empty, when everything you're doing seems to lose its meaning, when the fire that once kept you moving burns low. You wake up, go through the motions, but inside, something feels disconnected. The excitement that used to push you forward is gone. You start asking yourself, what's the point? This is the stage where many people give up. Not because they can't keep going, but because they can't keep going, but because they've forgotten why they started. When life feels pointless, the most important thing you can do is go back to your reason. That reason is your foundation. It's what gives direction to the struggle, and when you lose sight of it, everything starts to feel heavier than it really is. When the process gets hard, the mind looks for an escape. It whispers that maybe you're wasting your time, that maybe you weren't meant for this, that maybe stopping is the smartest thing to do. But that voice doesn't know the whole story. It doesn't remember the version of you who began with hope. It doesn't feel the passion that made you take the first step. The mind forgets, especially when it's tired. That's why you need to remind it. You need to bring your why back to life. Your why is the emotional reason behind your effort. It's not the job, the money, or the achievement. It's what those things mean to you. Maybe you started because you wanted freedom. Maybe it was about proving to yourself that you could do something difficult. Maybe it was about giving your family a better life, or creating something that mattered. Whatever it is, that reason has to stay close to your heart, because it's the only thing strong enough to keep you moving when motivation fades. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like weather. One day you feel unstoppable, and the next day you question everything. But purpose, your why, is what gives motivation roots. It turns effort into something that matters, something worth the pain, worth the sacrifice. When you remember why you started, you stop focusing on how tired you are and start focusing on what you're fighting for. Sometimes you'll go through seasons when you don't see progress, and that can make you question everything. You might feel like all your work is going unnoticed, like the world isn't responding to your effort. But that's not failure. That's growth in disguise. Growth doesn't always show results right away. Sometimes it's building something inside you. Discipline, patience, resilience, before it reveals itself outside. In those moments, your why is what keeps you grounded. It's the reminder that even if the results haven't shown up yet, your effort is still worth it. Every person who's ever achieved something meaningful has faced moments where they felt like quitting. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent or luck, it's memory. The ones who make it remember their reason. When the struggle gets real, they don't look for a way out, they look inward. They remind themselves why they began. That's where real strength comes from. When everything feels pointless, you must pause and look back. Remember that first day, the one when you decided to begin. Remember how it felt when you believed something better was possible. Remember the fire in your chest, the clarity in your mind, the hope in your heart. That version of you still exists. It's just buried under exhaustion, stress, and doubt. But it's still there. And sometimes you don't need a new plan or more motivation. You just need to reconnect with that original fire. The world has a way of testing how badly you want something. The journey will not always reward you with quick wins or instant signs of progress. Sometimes it will strip away everything that's comfortable just to see if you'll keep going. That's when your why becomes your anchor. It keeps you from drifting when the waves get strong. When the mind starts saying this isn't working, your why answers back. I didn't come this far to give up now. You have to understand something. When life feels pointless, it's not because your goal lost meaning. It's because your mind lost connection to it. You've been focused on the grind, the obstacles, the daily repetition, and you forgot to step back and see the bigger picture. You forgot that this path you're on, was once your dream. You forgot that the things you call problems now were once things you prayed for the chance to face. You forgot that growth always feels uncomfortable because it's shaping you into someone stronger. Reminding yourself why you started isn't just about reflection. It's about alignment. It's about realigning your mind with your purpose so that your actions feel meaningful again. You can do this by writing it down, literally writing your why somewhere visible. Every morning, read it. Every time you feel lost, go back to it. The more you remind yourself, the more you train your brain to focus on meaning instead of fatigue. Over time, this creates emotional endurance, the ability to keep pushing even when nothing feels easy. Sometimes your why will evolve. The reason that got you started might not be the same reason that keeps you going today. And that's okay. Growth changes priority. What mattered most at the beginning might be different now, but the essence is the same. It's still about becoming more than you were. The important thing is to keep your reasons updated, clear and honest, because without them the journey turns into a routine, and routine without purpose feels like emptiness. You'll meet people who stop halfway through their dreams because they lose connection to their purpose. They start strong, but once the excitement fades, they stop reminding themselves why they began. They forget that every struggle is part of something bigger. They give up not because they couldn't make it, but because they lost sight of what they were fighting for. Don't be one of those people. Remind yourself every single day that your struggle means something. When things get dark, when you feel tired, and nothing seems to work, go back to your why. Close your eyes for a moment, and remember what you wanted before all the noise, before the doubts, before the pressure. Remember the goal that made you feel alive, the people you wanted to help, the life you wanted to build. Let that memory recharge your energy. Let it remind you that you're not doing this just for today. You're doing it for the person you promised yourself you'd become. There's real power in remembering, because when you remember, you reconnect. You stop drifting, you stop doubting. You begin to move with intention again. You start to see challenges differently, not as signs to quit, but as reminders that your journey still matters. You start to see effort as progress, even if results haven't arrived yet. And that mindset shift changes everything. There will always be days when you don't feel like doing it. Days when you'd rather escape than fight. Days when the thought of continuing feels unbearable. On those days, don't try to find new inspiration. Go back to your reason. That's the real source of strength. You don't need a speech or motivation video. You need memory. You need to look back and say, I started this because it mattered to me. And that still mattered. That simple act of remembering can turn resistance into resolve. Reminding yourself why you started builds emotional resilience. It helps you push through the noise of temporary emotions. When you're tired, your emotions tell you to stop. When you're frustrated, they tell you to walk away. But your why speaks louder. It reminds you that the pain of staying disciplined is smaller than the regret of giving up. It tells you that temporary feelings don't define your future. Purpose does. You don't need to feel strong every day. Strength isn't about never feeling weak. It's about remembering your reason when you do. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be persistent. Every time you choose to keep going because of your why, you're reinforcing your mental toughness. You're proving to yourself that you can stay loyal to your purpose even when it's not easy. As you move forward, take moments to pause and reflect. Look at how far you've come, not just how far you have left to go. The person you were when you started would be proud of how much you've grown, even if you can't see it clearly now. That perspective matters. It gives meaning back to the effort. It reminds you that progress doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it looks like quiet consistency. And one day, you'll look back at the moment you almost gave up and realize it was a turning point, not the end.
you'll realize that the strength you have now was built in those exact moments when everything felt pointless, but you decided to keep going anyway. You'll realize that your why wasn't just a reason to start, it was the reason you became unbreakable. So whenever life starts to feel meaningless, when the path feels endless, go back to your reason. Remind yourself that this journey is not random. It's your choice, your mission, your growth. You're not stuck, you're being shaped. You're not behind, you're becoming. The struggle you face today is part of the same story you dreamed of writing when you first began. Don't forget why you picked up the pen. Don't forget why you took the first step. Because the moment you remember, the road ahead begins to make sense again. And that's when you find the strength to keep moving, even when everything feels pointless.
Chapter 6. Accept that progress is slow, but still worth fighting for. Progress doesn't happen overnight. The truth is that every meaningful achievement requires time, patience, and consistent effort. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is moving forward, when you've poured your energy into work, training, learning, or building something, and the results seem invisible. That is the reality of progress. It is often slow, subtle, and unrecognizable at first. The challenge is learning to see value in the small steps, in the tiny improvements that accumulate quietly over time. Many people give up because they expect fast results and instant gratification, but the mind must understand that growth is a gradual process. Real transformation takes repetition, persistence, and the willingness to keep showing up, even when it feels like the world is standing still. Accepting this reality is the first step toward building resilience, mental toughness, and the ability to push forward even when progress seems minimal. It is natural to feel frustration when progress is slow. Your mind will notice every obstacle, every delay, and every setback. It will highlight the moments when others seem to advance faster or achieve more visible results. That comparison can create feelings of doubt, anxiety, and impatience, but those emotions are part of the process. They are not a sign that you are failing, they are a sign that you care. The key is learning to acknowledge these feelings without letting them dictate your actions. Accepting slow progress means understanding that effort is not wasted, even when results are not immediate. Every step, no matter how small, is contributing to the larger goal. The habit of celebrating small wins is critical. Each time you finish a task, make progress in learning a skill, or improve even slightly, take a moment to recognize it. This doesn't mean you lose focus on the bigger goal, but it does mean you give yourself permission to appreciate the work you are putting in. Small wins create momentum. They train your mind to recognize that effort produces results, even if those results are delayed. Acknowledging slow progress reinforces the belief that persistence matters more than speed. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. It is tempting to overcommit, push yourself to extremes, and expect dramatic changes quickly. While hard work is necessary, the sustainable force behind any significant achievement is consistency. Showing up daily, practicing deliberately, and maintaining focus over weeks, months, and years is what creates real growth. Accepting slow progress is not about settling for mediocrity, it is about committing to the long game. The results that matter most in life rarely appear quickly, and learning to respect that timeline is what separates those who succeed from those who quit. Patience is a skill, and it can be trained. Your mind must adjust to the reality that meaningful goals take time. Impatience can lead to discouragement, mistakes, and abandoning the journey too early. By accepting slow progress, you allow yourself to focus on the process rather than the outcome. You learn to value the daily effort, the learning, and the subtle improvements that eventually compound into significant results. Patience creates emotional stability and reduces the unnecessary pressure that can distract you from your goal. The fear of slow progress often comes from a lack of clarity about the path ahead. You might feel like your work is going nowhere because you cannot see the endpoint clearly.
To combat this, break your larger goal into smaller, measurable steps. Define the mini milestones that will mark progress along the way. By doing this, your mind can visualize advancement even when the ultimate goal is far away. Each step becomes a marker of success, a reassurance that you are moving forward even if the pace feels slow. Tracking these steps allows you to maintain motivation and reinforces the belief that persistence is worthwhile. Self-discipline is central to embracing slow progress. It is easy to stay motivated when the path is exciting or when immediate results appear. The real challenge is showing up when the work feels monotonous, difficult, or unrewarding. Discipline is what keeps you moving during those times. It trains your mind to value the action itself rather than the immediate outcome. By accepting that progress is slow, you allow discipline to guide your actions instead of emotions. You learn to trust the process and understand that the foundation you are building today will support future achievements that might not yet be visible. Comparison can derail progress. It is natural to look at others and feel like they are moving faster or achieving more. But everyone has a different journey, and external appearances rarely reflects the effort, challenges, or setbacks experienced behind the scenes. Focus on your own path and remind yourself that slow progress is still progress. Each person's journey unfolds at its own pace, and the only benchmark that truly matters is your personal growth. Accepting slow progress requires embracing patience and shutting out the unnecessary noise of comparison. Resilience grows from repeated effort over time. Every time you continue despite slow results, you strengthen your ability to endure challenges and setbacks. Your mind adapts to the discomfort of uncertainty and learns to trust the process. That trust is the foundation of unbreakable mental toughness. The ability to remain consistent even when the path seems slow is what separates temporary achievers from long-term successful individuals. Understanding that progress is slow yet meaningful helps your mind become a reliable ally rather than a source of frustration. Visualization can support acceptance of gradual growth. Picture yourself in the future, achieving the goal you are working toward. Imagine the cumulative aggregate of the small steps you are taking today. Seeing the outcome in your mind helps your brain understand that the effort invested now, even if slow, is building towards something substantial. Visualization reinforces patience and encourages perseverance because it links present actions with long-term results. Reflection strengthens appreciation for slow progress. Take time regularly to look back and see how far you have come. Often the progress is more noticeable in hindsight than in the moment. Journaling or tracking your journey allows you to measure subtle improvements that might otherwise be overlooked. Recognizing this incremental growth reinforces the belief that consistent effort, even when slow, is valuable. Reflection helps your mind remain motivated and connected to the process, rather than fixating solely on immediate outcomes. Mindset matters more than speed. Believing that slow progress is normal and valuable transforms the way you approach challenges. Your thoughts influence your actions, and when you internalize that growth takes time, you approach tasks with more patience, focus, and resilience. Instead of becoming frustrated by slow results, you become strategic and deliberate. You make decisions that support sustained effort, knowing that each small step compounds over time. Obstacles will appear, and setbacks are inevitable. When progress is slow, it's easy to let challenges feel like failure. Reframing setbacks as part of the growth process allows you to maintain momentum. Accept that struggles are not a signal to quit, but an essential part of achieving lasting results. Each problem you overcome strengthens your skill, knowledge, and emotional resilience. Embracing slow progress means understanding that temporary difficulty is not permanent defeat. Accountability reinforces persistence. Share your journey with someone who understands your goals or track your progress publicly in a way that motivates you to keep going. Accountability adds structure and encourages you to maintain consistency even when results seem minimal. Knowing that your effort is observed or monitored strengthens the commitment to continue despite the slow pace. Celebrate the process, not just the outcome. Focus on the actions you are taking daily. The effort, learning and decisions you make every day are the building blocks of success. By appreciating the process, you create satisfaction and motivation in the present moment, rather than postponing happiness until a distant goal is achieved. Accepting slow progress is a mindset that shifts your focus from waiting for results to valuing the work itself. Finally, remind yourself that every master was once a beginner who persisted through slow progress. Every successful individual has faced periods where results were minimal and the path seemed long. Their achievements are the product of consistent, patient effort over time. You are building something that matters, even if it is invisible now. Accepting slow progress allows you to cultivate patience, discipline, resilience, and emotional endurance. It teaches your mind to stay committed, to trust the process, and to keep moving forward regardless of how long the journey takes. Progress may be slow, but it is always worth fighting for. Each small step, each repeated action, and each bit of consistent effort compounds into results that will ultimately reflect the dedication you have put in. The journey may feel long, but the transformation it brings is permanent. Embracing slow progress strengthens your mind, deepens your resilience, and ensures that when the results do appear, they are built on a foundation that will last a lifetime. Keep going, trust the process, and understand that what you build today may not show tomorrow, but will define your future forever.
Chapter 7. Talk to yourself with respect when failure makes you feel weak. Failure is one of the most challenging experiences we face in life, and it has a way of shaking our confidence and making us feel smaller than we are. When a project doesn't go as planned, a relationship fails, or personal goals are not achieved, the first voice we often hear is a critical one, a voice that tells us we are not good enough, that we lack ability, or that we should just give up. That inner voice can become a powerful barrier if left unchecked. Talking to yourself with respect during these moments is not just a choice, it is a necessity for mental strength. Treating yourself with dignity even when you fail strengthens resilience and helps you move forward without carrying unnecessary self-blame or shame. Begin by noticing how you speak to yourself immediately after a setback. Many people automatically say harsh words, replay mistakes in their head, or exaggerate the impact of a failure. The mind naturally wants to protect itself by analyzing errors, but when this reflection turns into a personal attack, it weakens your confidence. To counteract this, intentionally choose a respectful and supportive inner dialogue. Instead of saying "I am worthless" or "I always fail," say "I am learning from this experience, I will improve," or "I can try again." The words you use shape your emotions. Respectful self-talk doesn't ignore mistakes, but it frames them in a way that encourages growth rather than despair. It is important to understand that feeling weak after failure is normal. Everyone experiences doubt, disappointment, and frustration. These feelings are part of the human experience, and they do not make you less capable. Acknowledging your emotions honestly allows you to address them constructively. Avoid the temptation to suppress your feelings or punish yourself for experiencing them. Accept that discomfort is temporary, and your response to it is what will define your growth. Talking to yourself with respect means giving yourself permission to feel the emotion without letting it define your worth or control your actions. Language is powerful. Every word you use internally triggers chemical and emotional responses in your brain. Negative self-talk can increase stress hormones, heighten anxiety, and lower your problem-solving ability. Positive and respectful self-talk, on the other hand, calms the nervous system, improves clarity, and reinforces resilience. When failure occurs, take a deep breath and articulate internally the truth of the situation with fairness. Speak to yourself as you would speak to a friend who just experienced the same setback. Offer encouragement, clarity, and guidance rather than criticism.
The tone and content of your internal dialogue directly impact how quickly you recover and how strong you feel moving forward. Create a habit of preparing your mind for respectful self-talk before failure even occurs. Visualize challenging situations and practice responding internally with calm and supportive language. This mental rehearsal trains your mind to respond constructively in real moments of difficulty. The more consistent you are in cultivating this habit, the more automatic it becomes. You will find that setbacks no longer feel paralyzing, but become opportunities to strengthen your confidence and problem-solving skill. Your inner dialogue can either limit you or empower you, and the choice is in your hands every time you face a challenge. Another critical aspect is recognizing the difference between accountability and self-criticism. Respectful self-talk holds you accountable without tearing yourself down. It acknowledges the role you played in a failure, while also recognizing the factors beyond your control. This approach allows you to learn from mistakes without internalizing them as a measure of your value. Accountability in a kind and honest manner keeps you motivated, while self-criticism often leads to avoidance, procrastination, or a fear of taking risks in the future. When your mind respects you, you respect yourself and your potential to improve. Practical steps to implement this include daily affirmations, journaling, and reframing negative thoughts. When you feel weak after a failure, write down what happened objectively and then write supportive statements to yourself. These could be reminders of past successes, notes about your effort, or encouragement to continue. Repetition strengthens the neural pathways that associate respectful internal dialogue with resilience. Over time, your mind learns to default to encouragement rather than criticism. Even in high-pressure or emotionally charged situations, it is also vital to focus on what you can control. After a failure, your mind might ruminate on what you could have done differently, who is to blame, or how unfair the situation is. While reflection is useful, obsessive dwelling leads to self-judgment and mental fatigue. Redirect your thoughts to actionable steps. What can you do next? What lesson can you apply? And how can you improve moving forward? Respectful self-talk reinforces this focus on solutions rather than punishment. It strengthens your confidence because it reminds you that you are capable of taking action, learning, and growing despite setbacks. Physical responses play a role too. Failure often triggers tension, shallow breathing, or a drop in energy. Respectful self-talk can guide your body to respond constructively. Speak internally phrases that calm your nervous system, encourage steady breathing, and motivate movement. Small actions like standing tall, taking deep breaths, and affirming your capacity to overcome create a feedback loop between mind and body. The combination of respectful self-talk and intentional physical responses enhances mental resilience and helps you recover from failure fast. Community and social support also influence how you talk to yourself after setbacks. Surround yourself with people who model respectful internal dialogue and reinforce positivity. Observing others handle failure with composure and encouragement provides examples for your own mind to emulate. Additionally, sharing experiences with trusted individuals who respond constructively can reduce the intensity of negative self-perception. However, the foundation must remain internal. External support complements, but does not replace the self-respect you cultivate within your own mind. Long-term, the goal is to integrate respectful self-talk into your identity. It should not feel forced or artificial, but become a natural part of how you process challenges. When failure occurs, your mind should automatically recognize your worth, validate your feelings, and focus on constructive next steps. This habit transforms failure from a source of weakness into an opportunity for strengthening courage, discipline, and problem solving. The mind becomes your ally rather than a critic, and every failure strengthens your capacity to persevere. Finally, understand that talking to yourself with respect after failure is a skill, not a one-time fix. It requires consistent attention, practice, and patience. You will stumble, and old habits of harsh self-criticism may resurface. Each time this happens, recommit to treating yourself with dignity, fairness, and support. The power to train your mind rests in these repeated choices. Over time, this approach rewires your thinking patterns, builds unshakable confidence, and allows you to recover from setbacks stronger than before. Respectful self-talk is the bridge between failure and success. It is the tool that keeps you moving forward, reinforces resilience, and ensures that no setback permanently diminishes your drive or belief in yourself. By making respectful self-talk your default response to failure, you establish a mental environment where growth, perseverance, and courage can flourish. You empower yourself to continue despite setbacks, maintain emotional stability, and take decisive action toward your goals. The simple act of speaking kindly to your own mind transforms weakness into strength, despair into determination, and uncertainty into clarity. The mind that respects itself never gives up.
Chapter 8. Control your focus when your mind wants to escape discomfort. Discomfort is a natural part of pursuing anything worthwhile. It shows up as tension in your body, racing thoughts, a pit in your stomach, or the urge to look for an easier path. Your mind instinctively wants to escape this feeling because it associates discomfort with danger or failure. The problem is that if you give in every time your mind wants to run, you never reach your potential. The ability to control your focus when discomfort arises is what separates those who give up from those who achieve remarkable success. Training this skill begins with awareness. Notice the moment your mind starts to shift toward avoidance. Recognize the impulses to scroll your phone, procrastinate, or mentally justify quitting. Observing these urges without judgment creates a space where you can decide intentionally where to place your attention instead of being hijacked by instinctive reactions. Once you are aware, anchor your focus on what truly matters in the present moment. This could be a single task, a goal, or the process that leads to improvement. The mind is naturally drawn to avoid discomfort, so it will attempt to fragment your attention with distractions. It is essential to deliberately redirect your focus back to what aligns with your purpose. Each time you redirect your attention, you reinforce mental discipline. Like a muscle, your focus strengthens through repeated effort. Over time, resisting the urge to escape discomfort becomes easier, and you notice your confidence in handling challenges grows naturally. Practical steps to implement this include breaking larger tasks into small, manageable actions. When your mind signals discomfort, shift your attention to the next step rather than the whole overwhelming picture. This micro-focus reduces anxiety and prevents your brain from overestimating the difficulty of the situation. Another technique is to acknowledge the discomfort without letting it dominate your thoughts. Label the feeling, recognize that tension, doubt, or resistance is occurring. By putting a name to it, you separate yourself from the emotion and prevent it from controlling your actions. Visualization is a powerful tool in controlling focus. Mentally rehearse scenarios where discomfort arises and practice consciously directing your attention to the productive path. Imagine yourself feeling the urge to quit but choosing to engage with the challenge instead. Visualizing success in these moments conditions your mind to respond with discipline rather than avoidance. It also builds a mental library of positive experiences you can draw upon when real-life discomfort appears. Breathing and physical awareness play a key role in maintaining focus during discomfort. The body reacts to stress before the mind fully registers it. Shallow breathing, tightened muscles, or racing heartbeat signal that the mind is leaning toward escape. Deep, steady breaths calm the nervous system and create space for conscious choice. Pairing breath control with deliberate focus anchors your attention in the present and reinforces the idea that discomfort is manageable rather than threatening. The narrative you tell yourself internally is critical. The mind often exaggerates discomfort, framing it as unbearable or permanent.
Controlling your focus requires consciously choosing thoughts that are realistic and empowering. Instead of thinking, "This is impossible," tell yourself, "This is challenging but achievable." Replace the internal narrative that pushes you away from discomfort with one that invites engagement. Over time, this rewiring strengthens mental resilience and creates a habit of facing challenges with clarity rather than avoidance. Consistency is essential. Controlling focus is not a one-time skill but a daily practice. Life will constantly present situations that test your ability to remain present under discomfort. Each moment where you consciously choose to stay focused rather than escape is a step toward unshakable mental discipline. Keep a journal of situations where you maintained focus. Reflect on the strategies that worked and identify patterns where you struggled. This reflection reinforces awareness and guides improvement in future challenges. Mindset also plays a crucial role in controlling focus. Accept that discomfort is part of growth and success. Shifting your perspective from fear of discomfort to curiosity about what it can teach you changes how the mind responds. Rather than seeing discomfort as something to avoid, frame it as a sign that you are pushing boundaries, learning and developing strength. This mental reframe reduces resistance and makes it easier to direct focus intentionally. External environment management supports your internal focus. Distractions amplify the mind's tendency to escape discomfort. Arrange your workspace or surroundings to minimize interruptions and create conditions conducive to attention. Remove unnecessary notifications, set clear time blocks, and communicate boundaries to others if needed. By controlling your environment, you reduce the number of competing signals that pull your mind toward avoidance. Another strategy is accountability. Share goals or tasks with someone you trust who encourages persistence. Knowing that someone is observing your efforts motivates your mind to remain engaged despite discomfort. Accountability also creates a feedback loop where your focus and discipline are reinforced socially, not just internally. This added layer of support strengthens your ability to stay committed when the urge to escape arises. Rewarding yourself for sustained focus reinforces the behavior. Small wins, acknowledgements, or moments of recognition help the brain associate persistence in discomfort with positive outcomes. This reward system doesn't mean indulging in distractions, but rather appreciating the progress you make when you resist the natural pull to quit. Each time you reinforce your focus, the habit becomes more natural and automatic. It is important to recognize that controlling focus does not eliminate discomfort. The goal is not to feel no tension or unease, but to train your mind to stay productive despite these feelings. Discomfort is inevitable in challenging work, personal growth, or situations that push you beyond comfort zones. Mastery lies in choosing where your attention goes rather than being a slave to emotional impulses. The more you practice, the quicker your mind responds with deliberate action instead of avoidance. Language matters as well. The phrases you use internally to describe discomfort shape your response. Instead of saying, "I cannot handle this," reframe to, "I can take this step and continue." Shift from global negative statements to specific actionable ones. This specificity directs focus towards solutions, rather than amplifying the urge to escape. Repeating this internal dialogue strengthens neural pathways that support attention and resilience over time. Combine focus control with goal visualization. Keep a clear picture of the desired outcome while engaging with discomfort. Focus on actionable steps rather than the overwhelming whole. When the mind begins to resist, remind yourself of the progress you are making and the skills you are building. This constant reinforcement bridges the gap between temporary discomfort and long-term achievement, ensuring that attention stays aligned with meaningful action rather than avoidance. Mindfulness techniques are also highly effective. Pay attention to your thoughts and bodily sensations without judgment. Notice discomfort arise and label it, but keep your attention on the task at hand. This practice enhances awareness and allows you to notice the subtle cues that your mind is attempting to flee. By maintaining focus, you strengthen self-control and deepen your understanding of how mental habits shape behavior. Finally, cultivate patience and self-compassion. Your mind will wander, and there will be times when discomfort feels overwhelming. Accept these moments without self-criticism and return attention gently to your chosen focus. Patience reinforces the habit and teaches your mind that sustained attention is safe, effective, and rewarding. Compassion reduces the mental friction that can sabotage focus and ensures that each attempt to stay engaged strengthens resilience rather than creating fear of failure. Training your mind to control focus under discomfort is the cornerstone of persistence, growth, and success. Each deliberate choice to engage rather than escape builds mental endurance, improves decision-making, and fosters confidence in your abilities. Through consistent practice, your mind learns that discomfort does not signal failure, but indicates an opportunity for progress. The ability to maintain attention when the mind wants to flee is the skill that allows you to achieve goals, build resilience, and keep moving forward no matter the challenge.
Chapter 9. Build mental habits that help you recover after setbacks. Recovering from setbacks is not about pretending they didn't happen or trying to erase them from your mind. Setbacks are inevitable in life, and they test not only your skills, but also your mindset and determination. The difference between those who succeed and those who get stuck lies in the mental habits they build to bounce back. To train your mind to recover quickly, you must first accept reality as it is. Denying a mistake or failure only prolongs frustration and confusion. Acknowledging what happened and taking responsibility for your actions or decisions clears the path for meaningful reflection. This honesty does not weaken you. It gives you clarity to see the next step. By facing the situation directly, you remove the power of fear and self-pity that so often keeps people trapped. Once acceptance is established, the next step is to analyze the setback objectively. Look at the facts without attaching labels like failure or catastrophe. Ask yourself what went wrong, what can be improved, and what elements were beyond your control. Breaking down the situation into controllable and uncontrollable factors helps your mind focus on productive solutions instead of spiraling into negativity. This approach trains your thinking to be constructive rather than reactive, which is crucial for building resilience. Each time you respond in this way, your brain strengthens patterns of problem-solving rather than avoidance, preparing you to handle future challenges more effectively. Building mental habits that support recovery also requires establishing daily routines that reinforce self-discipline and reflection. Take time each day to journal your thoughts, assess your actions, and identify lessons learned. Writing creates a concrete record of your progress and helps your mind process experiences without judgment. Over time, this habit becomes automatic, and your mind naturally seeks to learn from setbacks rather than dwell on them. It creates a feedback loop where every challenge becomes an opportunity for improvement, reinforcing the belief that setbacks are temporary and recoverable. Another essential habit is maintaining perspective. Setbacks can feel overwhelming in the moment, but in the broader context of your life and goals, they are small events. Mentally placing difficulties within a wider timeline reduces the emotional intensity and prevents impulsive reaction. By consciously reminding yourself that this is just one moment and that recovery is possible, you reduce panic and self-criticism. Your mind begins to approach challenges calmly and systematically, rather than being hijacked by stress or doubt. Visualization strengthens recovery habits as well. Mentally rehearse how you will respond to potential setbacks before they occur. Imagine feeling the initial disappointment, but then taking deliberate steps to analyze, adjust, and move forward. This mental practice creates a blueprint in your mind for handling adversity, so when a real setback occurs, your reactions are faster, calmer, and more strategic.
Over time, your brain associates setbacks with actionable steps instead of emotional paralysis, turning challenges into predictable opportunities for growth. Self-talk is another powerful tool in building recovery habits. The internal dialogue you maintain immediately after a setback can either reinforce defeat or encourage persistence. Replace thoughts like "I can't handle this" with "I can learn from this" and continue. Speak to yourself with the same respect and encouragement you would give a friend. This practice strengthens resilience because your mind begins to expect progress rather than defeat, reinforcing a habit of moving forward despite difficulties. Physical well-being also plays a role in mental recovery. When faced with setbacks, stress hormones rise, affecting clarity and decision-making. Regular exercise, proper sleep, and balanced nutrition stabilize mood and energy levels, enabling you to think more clearly and respond intentionally. Incorporating these habits into your daily routine builds a foundation where your mind can recover efficiently after challenges, because your body supports cognitive and emotional resilience. Creating a support system reinforces mental recovery habits. Surround yourself with people who encourage growth and offer constructive feedback. When setbacks occur, discussing them with trusted individuals can provide perspective, reduce emotional overload, and suggest actionable solutions you might not see on your own. Social reinforcement helps your mind recognize that setbacks are common and manageable, preventing isolation and excessive self-criticism that can impede recovery. Mindset training is also critical. Adopt a growth-focused perspective, where every setback is an opportunity to strengthen skills, increase understanding, and prepare for future success. Reframe setbacks as temporary obstacles rather than personal failures. By consistently interpreting challenges this way, your mind automatically searches for solutions, strategies, and lessons instead of dwelling on regret. This habit turns adversity into fuel for progress and builds confidence in your ability to navigate difficulty. Reflection is a vital component of recovery habits. After overcoming a setback, take time to analyze what strategies worked and what can improve for next time. This reflection cements the learning and strengthens your response patterns for future situations. Over time, your mind becomes adept at quickly assessing setbacks, extracting lessons, and moving forward without emotional baggage. The habit of reflection ensures that every experience contributes to growth, creating a momentum that makes future challenges easier to manage. Goal adjustment is another important habit. Sometimes setbacks reveal that your approach or expectations were unrealistic or misaligned. Training your mind to recover includes evaluating goals and strategies and making adjustments when necessary. This flexibility prevents frustration from rigidity and allows your focus to remain on progress rather than perfection. By cultivating the habit of assessing and adjusting, you build resilience and ensure that setbacks serve as guidance instead of roadblocks. Practicing gratitude accelerates recovery habits. Acknowledging what is still going well or what has been learned through adversity shifts your mental state from negativity to possibility. Gratitude creates a mental environment where setbacks are seen as temporary and manageable rather than catastrophic. This simple habit trains your mind to balance disappointment with appreciation, fostering emotional stability and a constructive approach to challenges. Resilience can be reinforced by setting small, achievable actions immediately after a setback. Taking concrete steps, no matter how minor, signals to your brain that recovery is possible. These small wins rebuild confidence and momentum, gradually dissolving the feelings of helplessness or frustration that often accompany setbacks. The habit of action-oriented recovery creates a pattern where setbacks automatically trigger strategic effort rather than defeatist thinking. Visualization combined with reflection strengthens this habit further. Mentally review a recent setback and replay how you effectively responded or could have responded better. Visualize applying lessons learned in future situations. This mental rehearsal builds automatic responses in the brain, making recovery quicker and more instinctive each time. It also reduces the emotional intensity of future setbacks because your mind has a clear roadmap for action. Establishing consistency in recovery habits is essential. Train your mind daily to acknowledge challenges, analyze objectively, act deliberately, and reflect afterward. Over time, this consistency creates mental pathways that make bouncing back automatic. The mind starts to expect recovery, and the fear or stress associated with setbacks diminishes. You become someone who doesn't panic when challenges arise, but sees them as manageable steps toward improvement. Finally, developing patience and self-compassion strengthens recovery. Understand that rebuilding after setbacks takes time and effort. Avoid self-criticism when recovery is slow. Treat yourself with understanding and maintain focus on forward progress. These habits combine to create a mindset where setbacks are neither feared nor avoided, but approached as a natural part of personal growth. Your mind becomes conditioned to recover quickly, adapt, and continue moving toward your goals with confidence and resilience. Training mental habits for recovery ensures that setbacks no longer paralyze progress. Each deliberate practice of acceptance, reflection, gratitude, strategic action, and patience strengthens your capacity to navigate adversity. Over time, your mind becomes a tool that consistently supports persistence, learning, and growth. You gain the ability to face obstacles, overcome disappointment, and emerge stronger, reinforcing the principle that the mind, when properly trained, is your most reliable ally in any challenge.
Chapter 10. Train yourself to choose growth every time you feel like stopping. Choosing growth every time you feel like stopping is the defining habit that separates those who achieve their goals from those who give up too soon. Every person faces moments where the effort feels unbearable, the progress too slow, or the challenges too great. At those critical points, the mind naturally looks for an escape, a way to retreat and avoid discomfort. Training yourself to consciously choose growth instead of giving in is about rewiring your mental habits and building a mindset that favors persistence over ease. This process begins with awareness. Recognize the exact moment when your mind whispers quit, when the body wants rest, and when fear wants to dominate. Acknowledging these impulses without judgment creates a pause between instinct and action, giving you the space to make a deliberate choice rather than reacting automatically. Once you can identify the urge to stop, the next step is to reconnect with your purpose. Remind yourself why you started, what you are working toward, and what this moment of effort will contribute to your bigger goals. This is not about superficial motivation, but creating a mental anchor rooted in clarity and personal values. The brain responds to purpose, and when it understands the why, it is easier to endure temporary difficulty. By consistently linking effort to meaningful outcomes, you reinforce the neural pathways that prioritize persistence and growth over avoidance. Another critical component is breaking growth into actionable steps. When faced with a mountain of tasks or a seemingly insurmountable challenge, the mind often feels overwhelmed and seeks to stop. By focusing on one small action at a time, you reduce the mental load and demonstrate to yourself that progress is always possible. Each step you take, no matter how minor, reinforces the habit of moving forward. This method conditions your mind to see progress as achievable and setbacks as manageable, creating a resilient mindset where stopping is less likely to occur. Mental self-talk plays a major role in choosing growth. The language you use internally either reinforces the desire to quit or strengthens your commitment to persist. Replace thoughts like "I can't do this" or "this is too much" with "I will take this step and I will learn from this effort."
Speak to yourself with clarity, encouragement, and authority. Your mind is highly responsive to consistent messaging, and by consciously directing it toward growth-oriented language, you create a self-sustaining feedback loop that drives action even when motivation wanes. Consistency and routine support this habit. By repeatedly practicing choosing growth in small daily challenges, you train your mind to respond similarly in larger, more critical situations. This can be as simple as finishing a task despite distraction, practicing a skill when tired, or addressing uncomfortable conversations instead of avoiding them. Each repetition strengthens your mental resilience and makes choosing growth a default response. Over time, your brain learns to associate challenge with opportunity rather than threat. Emotional regulation is another essential aspect. When the urge to stop arises, strong emotions like frustration, fear, or fatigue often dominate. Training yourself to choose growth requires practicing emotional control so that decisions are based on deliberate reasoning rather than reactive feeling. Deep breathing, pausing before responding, and reframing discomfort as a temporary state rather than a permanent obstacle all help regulate emotions. With repeated practice, your mind becomes adept at managing emotional impulses, allowing you to consistently choose effort over retreat. Visualization enhances the ability to choose growth. Mentally rehearsing difficult situations and imagining yourself persisting despite challenges primes your mind for real-life scenarios. Picture yourself completing the task, overcoming the difficulty, and feeling the satisfaction of progress. This mental exercise strengthens the neural pathways associated with resilience, making the choice to persist more natural and instinctive when actual challenges occur. Visualization also reduces fear because the mind has already experienced a version of success, making it easier to step into effort without hesitation. Physical energy management supports mental choice. When the body is drained, the mind is more likely to seek escape. Prioritizing rest, nutrition, and exercise ensures your body can sustain the effort required for consistent growth. A strong body supports a strong mind, and when energy levels are maintained, choosing growth becomes less of a struggle and more of a deliberate habit. Even small adjustments like short breaks, hydration, or stretching during long work sessions can sustain focus and prevent the mind from defaulting to avoidance. Sharing goals and progress with others, or having a mentor, creates external reinforcement that keeps you committed when internal motivation falters. The knowledge that your actions affect not just yourself, but also others, strengthens the mental habit of pushing forward. Accountability adds a social dimension to growth, making persistence not only a personal choice, but also a responsibility that your mind respects and responds to. Gratitude and reflection amplify the effect of choosing growth. After successfully pushing through moments when you wanted to stop, take time to reflect on the experience. Acknowledge the effort you put in, the lessons learned, and the progress achieved. Gratitude for the opportunity to grow reinforces the mental habit and creates a positive emotional association with persistence. Reflection ensures that each act of choosing growth contributes to long-term mental conditioning, solidifying resilience and reinforcing the belief that effort yields tangible rewards. Another aspect is learning to embrace discomfort as part of the growth process. The mind naturally resists challenges because it equates discomfort with danger. By consciously reframing discomfort as a necessary component of development, you train yourself to act even when conditions are not ideal. Accept that struggle is temporary and that enduring it builds strength, skill, and confidence. Over time, your brain stops associating effort with threat and starts associating it with achievement and personal growth. Setting incremental challenges develops the habit further. Gradually increase difficulty in areas where you want to grow. This progressive exposure trains the mind to adapt to higher levels of stress and challenge without surrendering. Each success, no matter how small, reinforces confidence in your ability to persevere. This incremental approach makes even the largest obstacles feel manageable because your mind has practiced persistence repeatedly, creating an expectation of growth rather than failure. Learning to control attention is vital. When thoughts of quitting arise, redirect focus to actionable steps, solutions, or progress, rather than dwelling on difficulties. The mind tends to fixate on obstacles, but by intentionally shifting focus to what can be done, you reclaim control and strengthen the habit of choosing growth. Training attention in this way reduces mental fatigue and keeps energy directed toward constructive effort rather than distraction or defeat. Finally, develop patience and self-compassion alongside determination. Growth is not instantaneous, and setbacks will occur. Training your mind to persist requires acknowledging your limits, while simultaneously committing to continual effort. Be patient with progress, and treat mistakes as learning opportunities, rather than reasons to stop. This balanced approach reinforces the mental habit of choosing growth repeatedly, ensuring long-term resilience and sustainable development. Choosing growth every time you feel like stopping is a skill that can be trained systematically. Awareness, purpose, small actionable steps, mental self-talk, consistency, emotional regulation, visualization, physical energy management, accountability, reflection, embracing discomfort, incremental challenges, focused attention, and patience all combine to create a mindset that defaults to effort rather than retreat. Each day, each decision, and each challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen this mental habit. Over time, the mind automatically leans toward persistence, transforming temporary discomfort into consistent progress. This deliberate practice ensures that quitting is no longer an option, because your mind is trained to see growth as the only way forward.